National Hockey Night presentation of the Blues and the Wild. And number 7 in the white sweater, Keith Tkachuk, ready to go. So Tkachuk is set to go in his first shift as a St. Louis Blue. Jim Schoenfeld, what's going through his mind right now and emotionally?
I want to get this first shift over with. I don't care if it's the first shot, the first hit, somebody yelling at me. I just want to get through the shift, get to the bench. The butterflies will have calmed down. He's played in some big games before, and from that point on, he will realize that he is a St. Louis Blue.
16 games since the All-Star break. 7 goals, 23 points for the guy they call Walt, Keith Tkachuk. His entire career in the Winnipeg Phoenix organization. He'll be on a line with Pierre Turgeon and Scott Young. Firepower for Joel Quenneville's Blues, trying to break a 7-game winless streak. And the first shift in a Blues uni is underway. Wild has some other ideas about getting something going. Quick shot on Brent Johnson, tested early. Tkachuk cross ice looking for Young. Turgeon tries to catch up with it near corner. Wes Walz sends along the end boards for the Wild. And Minnesota off and running. Intercept. On the move. Gaborik right off the post. He rings it off the iron. Off a skate in front lock zone and a good opportunity. Marian Gaborik, the rookie we just talked about a moment ago, just about spoiled the debut in a St. Louis uniform for Keith Tkachuk. Team's leading scorer for a reason. So Keith Tkachuk, not exactly what he had hoped in the first couple of moments. Let's go to John Butchergross after the first shift from Keith Tkachuk. John. So we're set. Jamal Mayers up the one draw from St. Louis. Obsut from the point put that on toward the net. And he steered wide. Jamie Mclennan, the ex-St. Louis Blue, in between the pipes for the Minnesota Wild. 4th game they play head-to-head. He's been in there for 3 of the 4. Just played a week ago, 3-3 tie here in St. Paul. Darby Hendrickson trying to rake it free of trouble in the far corner. Brad Bombardier, hard hit there on Jamal Mayers. Hendrickson temporarily wearing the C in his sweater. We'll get into that. Minnesota, a very unique captain system as Gaborik will shovel down ice. Blues coming off a loss last night. You saw on ESPN2's National Hockey Night. 5-2 in Philly against the Flyers. With a winless streak stretching all the way to 7. And their last victory February 26th against San Jose. Probably not coincidentally tonight, Chris Pronger re-injured himself. Hit by a clearing attempt from his own teammate. Friendly fire, broke a forearm. Offensive zone. Here comes the Wild again. Krivakrazov off a shot. Johnson was screened by his own man in front, but Sergei Krivakrazov could not find the opening. And somehow Brent Johnson got a goal stick on that. The Wild denied again.
Jamie Mclennan being tested a couple of times early. Good save there. Got the pad down. The first one, of course, Gaborik hit the post. Blues are flirting with danger here in Minnesota.
Cam Stewart, offensive end. Just outside the right circle, trying to center. Deflected off a body toward the neutral zone. Bombardier. Brad Bombardier has got the A on his sweater for an assistant captain. And Jacques Lemaire, as we talked about, has a rather unique system in terms of captains and the alternates. So Brent Johnson is in goal for St. Louis. Roman Turk played fairly well last night, although Joe Quenneville told us today it was not one of the team's best games.
The team has not played well in a long time. You can see the record of young Brent Johnson. And this is the chance by Gaborik. You'll see it rung off the post. A good wrister. Johnson beaten except for that couple of inches of post. And Krivakrazov coming in on Brent Johnson. And good move. Traffic going to the net. Way to drive the net. You eliminate a couple of defensemen. And Johnson standing his ground as Jamie Mclennan at the other end stands and watches and waits for his first shot.
5-game winless streak for Brent Johnson. Last victory February 10th against the Avalanche. Minnesota has been flying. First couple of shifts here on home ice at the XL Energy Center, head-to-head with St. Louis. Blues in hot pursuit of Detroit. Central Division lead, behind by 4. Here they come again on a short side attempt. That put right in front.
The early going there, I had Mclennan in net for the Blues, and of course that's because he was a goaltender last year.
That's right, easy to confuse him. That was Stacey Roos on the bid a moment ago.
Skull cramp a little bit there, sorry folks.
We'll get it going. Roos at the end of his shift will send down ice around the dasher, played there by Johnson.
Cheating Johnson out a couple of good saves there. Sorry, Brent. Okay, all my apologies are over. No more mistakes for the rest of the night, folks.
Here's your ball, Mayers at center. Far side, Jochen Hecht comes into the offensive zone. He's got 17 goals to match his sweater number. And a difficult stretch, though, for the Blues, trying to get something going offensively. They have struggled mightily. Here's Mayers, trying to cycle behind the net, spin and fire, partially deflected off the stick of Darby Hendrickson from Richfield, Minnesota, about 20 miles or so from the Twin Cities. Talked to him before the game at length. Very happy to be in a Wild uniform and excited to be part of this expansion project here, where the fan response has been spectacular. 15,000 plus season tickets sold already.
2,500 on the waiting list. How about that?
Wow. And a nice chat with Jacques Lemaire today before the game. Willie Mitchell from the left point. Another one of the newcomers. A lot of new faces in Minnesota. We talked about Cory Stillman and Tkachuk wearing the new unis in St. Louis. Willie Mitchell recently traded from the Devils for defenseman Sean O'Donnell.
And there's Jamie Mclennan. Last year, he combined with Roma Turk in St. Louis to win the Jennings Trophy, the fewest goals against in the National Hockey League, 1.96. He has faced his old teammates twice this year, and he's still looking for his first victory. A good combination in net for the Minnesota Wild. Fernandez and Jamie Mclennan doing a terrific job for Jacques Lemaire and his troops.
We talked to Jamie this morning after the team skate. He said, hey, we've had some good outings, but I'm not exactly getting the most support in the world. 2.17 goals per game for Minnesota. That's 30th and last in the NHL.
Well, if he got a shutout, he'd win some of those games.
Yeah, something like that.
Quit your crying and stop the puck, Jamie.
Krivokrasov across, comes to Mitchell at the point. He'll send it right on. Krivokrasov in front looking for a tip. Regain loose, sent cross ice and slid just wide. Pavel Patera's shot didn't miss by much. Tipped out to center. That's where Willie Mitchell, the rookie, will regain. Pavel Patera on the move. Just one goal for him this year for the ex-Dallas Star. Into the offseason. Couple trades involving Aaron Gavey and Manny Fernandez, who's their leading goaltender here in Minnesota. Tipped on again. A lot of traffic in front. Sylvain Blouin, 36 in the green sweater. Notice Minnesota wearing the road sweaters. They knew we'd be on ESPN's National Hockey Night tonight. Wanted to get some exposure. Cam Stewart centering try. Blouin's shot was stopped. Goal stick save by Brent Johnson.
They don't need a lot of exposure with that jersey. That's the biggest seller in the National Hockey League. The kids are just buying that thing up like it's going out of style. So there'll be some new youngsters getting a look at it and some more cash going into the till of the Minnesota Wild.
Road winless streak at 10 now for St. Louis at 0-6-2-2. They probably wouldn't mind the change in sweater, but here come the Wild again on the move. Sharp angle shot comes all the way through. Held in by Philippe Kuba at the left point. Aaron Gavey's line with Wes Walz. And Stacey Roos on the ice. There's Sean Hill, who's been a big disappointment at St. Louis. Unable to produce nearly what he had come up with last year as Tkachuk tried to tip that. Just a little bit wide. He's in front of the Turgeon bid in front. He goes with it. Looking for Keith Tkachuk. Sean Hill had the big numbers in Carolina a year ago. At center ice, gave you a whack at it, trying to keep it alive for Minnesota. Tkachuk over skates by Stride, and his line will head off ice on a chain. Gavey on the forecheck, follows up in the near corner, along with Hendrickson now. Marian Gaborik, just 19 years old, 17 goals, one of the top rookie scorers in the NHL. Brad Richards of Tampa Bay holds that honor in all the major offensive categories. Gaborik, cross ice play, looking for Bombardier. Couldn't find the handle. He had pinched in, trying to create some offense. We talked about the goal-starved Wild. Looking to create more. Mayers on the move. Tried it Cory Stillman, and his first action as a St. Louis Blue just came from Calgary. Trade for Craig Conroy. Gaby's still on the ice. Been out there for a long time. A slap shot from the left point deflected by Johnson. Comes out to center ice. Obsuit for Mayers, former Western Michigan Bronco. He'll head ice on a change. Mitchell reverses into the near corner, and the Wild on the attack again. They've been much more aggressive of the two teams. Krasov sends along the dasher, held up there by Johnson. Obsuit high in the glass, held in by Sutton, tipped just wide. Couple of bodies down low. Krasov, one of them, along with Roman Simicek, number 16 in the green sweater. Obsuit was a scratch last night, didn't play in Philadelphia. A lot of ice time early. Glove down by Johnson for the point. And that shot put right on net. Play continues. More than 8 minutes in, first period. Still no score. Bouncing puck for Sutton. Try to golf it out of his own zone. Simicek, dangerous move to cut in front of his old goaltender as Marty Reisner tried to head him off with a pass. Bartechko the intercept. Out there with Scott Mellanby and Marty Reisner. Joe Quenneville telling us today what a valuable addition Scott Mellanby has been. He scored in the 5-2 loss at the First Union Center in Philly last night. All of his goals this year have come on the road. Boy, could they use some road offense. It has been a struggle for St. Louis. Reardon in a foot race gets there first. Tkachuk icing the call, our first timeout here in St. Paul. Good start for the Wild. A lot of pressure on St. Louis. What do you think, Jim, of the new additions?
Well, Stillman gives him some offense. I mean, Conroy was a real good hockey player, but he was more defensive-minded, had some shorthanded goals for the Blues. Stillman has 21 goals, 7 on the power play, so he's going to add more offense to a good offensive team.
Twice in his career, 27 goals in Calgary for Cory Stillman. Here's Young, team's leading goal scorer, 36 tallies, one of the best in the NHL. Career year for him. Now Keith Tkachuk will cycle. Inside the left circle, comes out for Salvador, tipped, but just a little bit wide. Regained by Scott Young inside the right circle, and the Wild will try to come out. Philippe Kuba out to center ice for Stacey Roost. Line change for Jacques Lemaire's team. Poked into the near corner along the dasher. Held in by Darby Hendrickson. Laxonen. Marian Gaborik, the spectacular rookie, on his knees trying to center. Intercepted, though, by the Blues. They'll march out the other way. Jochen Hecht. A broken stick in the high slot. You never know if it could deflect as Sean Hill takes a whack at it at the red line. Finally, he'll send it up ice. Some contact with Gaby and Stillman. Mayers in the near corner with Willie Mitchell. Mitchell, another player very excited to be here in Minnesota. Get some more ice time. Spent a lot of time in the Devils organization in Albany in the American League with the River Rats. Gaby trying to dig it out along the end boards. A battle there. Along with Alexei Gusarov, one of the newcomers we showed you a moment ago from the New York Rangers. Second time he's been traded this year. Began the year in Colorado, where he won a cup with the Avs 95-96. At the blue line, run down by Mitchell. He'll send it up ice. Wild out shooting St. Louis 9-1 here in the opening frame. More than halfway through. Most of the pressure early. Gaborik, great bid, went off the far post, the best chance so far. Simicek tried to center. Tipped away instead by St. Louis. Comes into the near corner. Krasov can't find a handle. Reisner, the feed from Mellanby on the move, and Marty Reisner, a BC star. It was a year to go of his schooling, and he says St. Louis is going to pay for that, and he'll finish up, get his degree over the summer. Sergei Krasov, the good speed, stop and go move. Feed on the move, Roman Simicek. Instead, a feed to down, look to slide it by Johnson. And at the last moment, couldn't quite find the good handle.
That may have gone off the post as well, David. Tough to see from this angle. Like another look at that one.
Second great bid for the Wild here in the opening period, but Brent Johnson, a little bit of luck. The goalie's best friend behind him. Take a look.
Tkachuk has the courage and the strength to take a hit. But if he doesn't like the hit, he's going to give it back to you. Right there, he gets knocked to the ice by Sekerash. Takes exception to that. Tough guy to contend with. He'll give and take. But if he's giving, it can be painful.
Laxonen separates himself from the pack. In front he goes for Walls. Centering try low slot, tip just wide. On the move, Roost. He goes cross ice for Wes Walls. This line has been flying all night off the side of the net. Roost looks to regain. Tripped up by Obsuit. Stacey Roost, the Detroit Red Wing. Last couple of years, about half the season up at the Joe with the Red Wings before taking the expansion draft by Minnesota. He's been effective in his role with the Wild this year. In the near corner, Tkachuk digging for it. He's going to be banged around. There's no question this game tonight. Got a big bullseye on his back. He regains inside the circle. Quick shot right on net. Goal stick stopped by Mclennan. Comes out. In the low slot for Philippe Kuba.
I would look for Keith's shifts to be very short and very emotional when you're traded. You play the game a couple of times on the way over in the plane. You think about it in the afternoon after your pregame meal. You're almost spent before you even take the ice. So the big guy's going to have a tough time getting through this first one. After that, it should be good sailing for the St. Louis Blues and Keith Tkachuk.
That was Drake, big hit in the near corner. Drake best buddies with Keith Tkachuk, and by no coincidence this morning in the St. Louis dressing room, Tkachuk right next to Dallas Drake in their stalls, right?
I'm sure that was per Wally's request, sitting with his good buddy Dally Drake. He just loves Dallas Drake because of the way he plays. He's a heart and soul player. He's a small guy that plays with the heart of a lion, and that inspires gritty players like Keith Tkachuk.
Cam Stewart, good hit on Dallas Drake. Stewart gives chase along with Salvador and mashes him into the end board. Somehow, Cam Stewart came up with it from his knees, trying to center. He was mugged from behind by Bryce Salvador. No call, and the fans certainly want it. Sutton hit by Simpson, and it's sent in by the Wild again. Here's Jamal Mayers. Looked at to provide a little more offense because the Blues have struggled so mightily scoring goals. Cory Stillman brought in from Calgary. First game as a Blue, trying to create something. Miroslav Benasek brings up ice. Gaborik gains the blue line. Looking for Gaby, bouncing puck in the high slot. Stillman got a piece of it. Heshed on the move. His big shot. Good stop made by Mclennan. Cleared off the half boards far side. Hendrickson couldn't find a handle. Heshed regains. Here comes St. Louis again on the move, and Mayers. Out there is Stillman and Heshed. In Cory's first game in St. Louis. Sean Hill gives chase. Fast moving first period. No score. Best bids certainly have come from the Wild.
Fast moving if you have a green sweater on. They are out skating the St. Louis Blues. The Blues really cannot generate much offense because they do not have those two big pillars back on the blue line on the defense. McGinnis and Pronger start a lot of the rushes. They break the play up defensively. Good, strong, good reach, and they make that outlet pass to get the Blues on the attack. Without them, not only are you hurt defensively, you're crippled offensively.
Here's Scott Mellanby, another one of the newcomers, trying to feed Bartechko, who had a goal last night. Rubos has been hurt much of the year. A variety of injury problems, just returning, and only 5 goals for Bartechko this year. Kriva Krasov leaves there for Kuba, pitching in, big shot, and Johnson able to glove that down. 5:07 left first period. Minnesota trying to bolt out. Joel, after their skate this morning, he said, "We're not panicking yet. We are spinning our wheels right now. We need a good offensive effort or two, but let's face it, when you have 2 all-star caliber, MVP caliber defensemen not playing, that shot from the point blistered right on toward Johnson. It is very difficult. 30 minutes per man with Pronger, McGinnis, and the top 2 defensemen always out against the top lines of the opposing team. Chris Pronger may come back last few games of the regular season. Now McGinnis is a question mark to return it all this year. Bud Light plus minus later. Joe Sakic, now the NHL's best. Colorado Avalanche plus 37. Patrick Elias having a great year. What a run the Devils are making for Larry Robinson and Colin White too. Boy, second-year defenseman in Jersey.
Tough team to count out when you're thinking Stanley Cup.
You're right about
the
that.
Defending champs, nobody seems to mention them. Everybody's talking about teams from the Western Conference. Great job, Larry Robinson and the staff. And remember, the Devs won last year, and they started the season off losing for the first month of the season. Took them a while to get it going, but since then, they have been on a tear. And right now, it'd be very difficult to think that they will not be one of the 2 teams in the finals.
Young can't catch up with it. Same goes for Tkachuk. He was hit hard there by Sekarash, 77 in green, 29-year-old rookie for Minnesota. He's been impressive, though. Good offensive numbers for a defenseman. Jacques Lemaire told us today what a key he has been in this year. Their first in Minnesota. Let's go to John Butchergross in the studio with an update. John.
Thank you, Dave. While you wait for Keith Tkachuk to make an impact on the St. Louis Blue lineup, didn't take Steve Hines long to make an impact For Buffalo, acquired from Columbus yesterday, Hines 57 makes it 1-0 Buff, but back come the Rangers. Radek Dvorak, top of the crease, ties it at 1 in Buffalo.
All right, John, thanks. Southwest Airlines intermission report is coming up. Sports Center in game. Rick Pitino to Louisville. Is that a done deal yet? In Conference USA, we'll see. And the Rangers getting a goal with John Jodas. What a struggle it's been since Theo Fleury out for the year. Mike Richter out. Little to no chance to make the playoffs for the Broadway Blues this year. On the move, here comes St. Louis. Stillman looking to a center there. Jumping into the play was Reardon. First penalty is coming up. Reardon took out Mclennan, the goalie. Now on the move is Mitchell, thinking about defenseman jumping in on the play, and we will have a penalty against the St. Louis Blues.
Well, it's an offensive zone penalty, goaltender interference. Jamie Mclennan standing his ground, focused on the shooter, and then all of a sudden, wham, here comes Jamal Myers, the drop pass, and there's the shot by Stillman, and crashing to the net is Todd Reardon. And the referees feel he could have stopped as he pushes the defenseman right into the goaltender, clears things out for his Blues to have an empty netter, and that was a look from the Southwest Airlines goal cam.
So Reardon in for the next two. We shortchanged Lubomir Sekarash, 32 years old from Slovakia. He is a first-year player, but not a rookie because he's too old in the NHL.
Yeah,
right?
a little different than the other rookie who's 19. A little different. The 19-year-old was the first round. He was drafted in the 8th round, 232nd overall. Gaborik 3rd overall, but he's having a great year, 2nd on the team in scoring. And we'll see what he does in his power play. Good shot from the blue line.
On this team in power play points. Sekarash winds up, big blast. Johnson was trying to get out of the way of that one. That was hammered from the left point. 4 goals, 11 power play points for Sekarash. 77 in green. And on the attack now, the Minnesota Wild with a man advantage. In front, Krasov couldn't find the handle. Low slot. Out there with Dow down low. Good battle on the end boards. Bodies flying everywhere. Simicek was ripped down from behind. Fans want another penalty, maybe a 2-man advantage. Sekarash to Krasov inside the left circle. Lubomir Sekarash, 32 years young, and here's Filip Kuba. He is a rookie, still by NHL standards. Simicek and down, play catch. Roman Simicek, ex-Pittsburgh Penguin, came in the trade for Big Steve McKenna. As the Pens added some muscle on that line. Dowd works down low for Krasov of the goal line. Kuba at 1 point, sending it down low. Ivanov a piece of it, tipped it wide of the end boards. Sergei Krasov inside the right circle. Simicek out to the point. Kuba winds up his shot. Oh, got a piece of that in front.
Dallas
and
Drake.
Eventually it's cleared away by
That's why you love Dallas Drake. Are you kidding me, folks? The guy's winding up. He's going to shoot a bullet right through you. Dallas Drake body in front to make the block for the St. Louis Blues. And he was stung in that one, folks.
Saw the numbers for Minnesota. It's been a tough ride in their first year with a power play. Last in all the major categories. Hashed in front. 15 seconds of the power play for Minnesota. Here's one reason. Giving up a lot of shorthanded goals. 12 allowed this year. That's 27th out of 30 teams in the NHL. Hendrickson carries across the line. Fancy pass. Got to get that to Gaborik. Regained by Gavey. And here comes Young. Reardon's out of the penalty box. Even strength 5 aside. St. Louis on the attack. And Scott Young, their leading goal scorer, lost the handle. Here, Turgeon leads this team in scoring. He was in the mix of the hot trade rumor for Eric Lindros, who was flown in for a physical. But the trade never happened. Turgeon. He's got Tkachuk and Bartechko. Here, Turgeon spins away from trouble. Bartechko's stick was held up. And another penalty is coming up. This time it's going to be against Minnesota. Delay call. Touch up at the blue line. And the first power play try. Holding the stick is the call. It'll be upcoming for the St. Louis Blues.
It'll take a while for Turgeon and Tkachuk to develop some chemistry. But once they do, I think they're going to be a very dangerous twosome. Turgeon, one of the premier playmakers in the National Hockey League. And of course, we mentioned how well Keith Tkachuk gets open. He couldn't there because his stick was being held. Turgeon, Sneaky Pete making those little short side passes from behind the net. Tkachuk will spin off the defender. It'll be on the tape. And many times it will find its way to the back of the net.
And talking with guys like Wes Walsh before the game, Jim, that was the key, they said, in trying to stop Keith Tkachuk. Push him off his skates, get him out of the crease area, and get his stick lifted. Unfortunately, it went a bit too far there.
Well, he grabbed it. I mean, if you can get a player stick in the air, it's two things. When you get that stick in the air, they lose a little bit of their leverage. They're easier to move. When they're leaning on the stick, you've got 3 points in the ice, 2 skates in the stick. Very tough to move a guy with the size and strength of a Keith Tkachuk.
Young sent it right on. Tipped wide by Stillman. So 2 of the new Blues on this power play unit for Joel Quenneville's team, trying to jumpstart something with a 7-game winless streak and the struggles on the road really reaching a fevered pitch. You get the feeling in talking with the guys this morning that they're getting a little nervous. Playoffs 3 weeks down the road here. This was not like last year's team that was on a huge roll heading into the postseason. We'll have some power play time left over in the second period. Final minute of the opening frame.
The simple fact for the Blues, they're just not used to losing. I mean, they've had things their way for so long. This is uncharted territory. They really do not know how to handle it. They're reeling right now. They need something to get things turned around. They're hoping Tkachuk will do it. But I'll tell you, until you get one or both of those big guys from the blue line back, you will not be playing deep into the spring if you're a St. Louis Blue.
Young lost the handle at one point. Forward playing there. Without Pronger and McGinnis, of course. We usually see Big Al McGinnis at that right point. He'll shift in the one-timer with that huge shot.
Well, you mentioned Sean Hill and how his production was down. Remember when he was with the Canes, and he was the first guy out there blazing them. Pronger, McGinnis, the guys for the Blues getting the call, so your production is going to suffer a little bit. And the Blues missed those guys severely in all facets of their game. Not only power play, we mentioned breaking out of the zone, playing against the other team's best offensive people, and the leadership they provide in the dressing room.
33 seconds of power play time when we get to the second period. But first, it's time now for the Southwest Airlines intermission report with our own John Butchergrass. John, 1 period complete in the career in St. Louis for Keith Tkachuk.
In the springtime and play deep into the playoffs. Well, folks, not all of them can. After the first round, 4 of them are going to be going home. They'll be very disappointed, but it is a tough, tough grind in the playoffs. The one thing you need is healthy bodies.
A little bit of power play time to begin the second period for St. Louis. They'll score after 20. Mellanby open, and they try to slide that right behind Mclennan to begin the second period on the power play. Still 10 ticks to go on the Walls minor.
Well, Keith Tkachuk with another scoring bid coming out of the corner. The puck is rolling a little bit, and he doesn't really get the good lumber on that he would like to get on it. Mclennan in good position. Takes away all the net there. Really nothing to shoot at. And a relatively easy save because of good positioning by the Wild netminder.
Home and road power play numbers. The Savas Center much better back home in St. Louis. 20th on the road, 14.3% heading in. Turgeon will take the draw. Comes out to the point. Sent toward the net and ripped just wide. Ivanov sending on at the right point. This doesn't seem like the same St. Louis team without number 2 or 44 in the white sweater from the point. Walls penalty clears. Back to even strength 5 aside. Turgeon hit hard by Bombardier. Keith Tkachuk trying to center, and it comes out to the near corner. Weil will bring it out.
You know, if I was Joel Quenneville, I might put Scott Young back in the blue line. He has played the point for St. Louis, and put Dallas Drake out there with Tkachuk, because they do have a workable chemistry. For years in Phoenix, they were a real good 1-2 combination. Of course, Jeremy Roenick, their center, was one of the better lines in the National Hockey League. So as things go along, if the Blues don't score, I know he wants to see him play with Young and Turgeon as a line. That's the thinking right now. But maybe for this first game, it would be good to get a familiar player on the ice with Keith Tkachuk and Dallas Drake, and see if they can work some of their old magic.
Obsut helps play into the offensive zone along with Cory Stillman, one of the new Blues. Tries to make a big hit into the near corner. Looking to nail Darby Hendrickson, the Minnesota native. Now in that rotating captain system he's got the C on his sweater. Monthly rotation. Brad Bombardier is the only player to wear it twice, 2 months this year. Jacques Lemaire trying to build some enthusiasm and create new leaders on the expansion team. Gave you in front, poke right there. Gaborik looking to redirect. And Johnson got a piece of it. Cleared down ice by St. Louis. Ladislav Benasek makes the touch-up icing to call. 2 minutes in, second period.
There's the St. Louis Blues coach, Joel Quenneville, and his message is pretty simple. Boys, we have to stop the bleeding. Right now, they are a team that is on the way down. This is not a good time of the year to be on the way down. And you can see without Pronger and McGinnis, 4-8, 5-2 goals a game, much fewer than the goals against per game. Power play, penalty killing, everything suffering without those two great players on the blue line.
Reisner takes the draw to the right of his netminder Brent Johnson. Had that brilliant start to the year. Spent a lot of the season as the #1 goal in the NHL with GAA, goals against average. Joe Quenneville says Roman Turic's his #1 goalie, though, and will be when the playoffs start in 3 weeks.
Yeah, there was an argument early in the year. Who's the #1? Quenneville will say we have 2 #1s. The last little while, they've got 2 #2s. Neither goaltender has played very well. Save percentage is well below .900 in their last 5 starts each. So not only Pronger and McGinnis are missed, but they have to get better goaltending if they're going to finish the season strong and do well in the playoffs.
Reardon trying to rip that off the far wall. Bartechko springs loose. Here come the Blues in the attack. Quick shot from the high slot. Easy goal stick stop by Mclennan. Poked along the dasher. Bodies strewn about. That was Marty Reisner going down. Here's Sekarash. Simacek offensive zone. Hit there by Alexander Havanov. He talked to him today after the Blues skate. He's excited, getting a lot more ice time than he normally would. And some players have stepped up into bigger roles with all the injury woes St. Louis has had to absorb. Of course, if and when McGinnis comes back, he'll have his normal ice time. Now, the word today with the eye injury, which can be so sensitive, they're not sure exactly if he'll come back in the regular season or the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's really scary. And what a huge loss if Al McGinnis does not come back. They are expecting Pronger to be back into the season or early first round of the playoffs, but you never know there either.
Willie Mitchell, a touch-up ice in the call. National Hockey Night boasts more great NHL action Thursday night over on ESPN2. Calgary takes on Detroit and captain Steve Yzerman face off in that game. Joe Louis Arena, 7:30 Eastern Time over on ESPN2. And Saturday, the NHL on ABC back with top teams and exciting regional action. Colorado, Detroit, the Great Western Conference rivalry. Rangers, Flyers, or Sharks and Kings. 3 o'clock Eastern Time, noon on the West Coast, Saturday on ABC Sports. Check your local listings as ABC and ESPN you all the way to the stretch run of the playoff drive into the postseason and the Stanley Cup. Kuba from the right point. Bouncing puck for Roos, low slot. Couldn't find the handle. Rung into the boards into the far corner there by Havanov. Turgeon gives chase. Sekarash, the other 77 out there, pokes into the near corner along the dasher. Walls hit hard. Boys, he decked. Just slammed by Absut. On the half-board's near side, Wes Walls had his head down for a moment and got crushed.
Well, his head was down, then his body was down, but he's back on his feet right now. Absut, a big boy. And he knows that was a good hit. You know, I smoked that guy. Gave him all I had. He was ready for it, and I won the battle. Oh, but I fell down too. But that's okay. That's a good hit. Walls was ready for it. Absorbed some of the shock. Both guys paying the price, David, to get the job done.
4th game of his season and his NHL career comes tonight for Yaroslav Absut. Not much playing time. March 2nd, first NHL game for him against the Vancouver Canucks, recalled from the Worcester Ice Cats in the American League on February 28th. Here's your game summary to this point. Each team 1 power play so far. And that's out to center, cleared by St. Louis. Jamal Mayers in the far corner trying to run it down. Benasek helps it cross ice for Gavey. He darts across the line. Left there on the move. Here comes Minnesota again. Gaborik trying to track it down into the far corner. And it's poked out the center again for Cory Stillman. Here's Hesht. Onside. Hesht to the backhand he goes. Stopped by Mclennan. His ex-teammate denies him with a nice sprawling save. Regained by St. Louis in front for Hesht. Here comes Hill at the point. Sent way wide. Deflected there by Walls. High off the glass and then over the boards, out of play. 15-14 left in the middle period.
Well, the Blues with a pretty good scoring bid. Johan Hesht coming in. Makes a nice move at the blue line. Little dump pass coming right here. Now he's coming in on Sutton. Watch him free Sutton right there. Sutton goes fishing for the puck. Andy, you cannot look at the puck. You got to look at the man's crest. Always play the body much bigger And there's a save by Jamie Mclennan, and you get a look at that from the Southwest Airlines goal cam. Jamie Mclennan not very busy tonight, but a couple of tough chances, and he's doing a good job in the net for the Minnesota Wild. And there is Johan Hesht saying, I should have gotten that puck up. He did that two-pad slide. If I had to do again, I would have roofed it under the crossbar. It would have been in the highlight film. Instead, it's a save, and no one will see it again.
17 goals, 40 points. Career highs all around for Johan Hesht this year. First full season of the NHL. 4 goals and 10 points in the playoff series. First round loss to San Jose a year ago. Run down by Alexei Gusarov. He sends to Tkachuk at center ice. Hit there from behind by Antti Laaksonen. And here's Bombardier. With all the changing, Bombardier is one of the players who should, as far as we know, wear the A as the alternate captain the rest of the way this season. Eastwood lost the handle. Here's Drake. Left circle. His shot knocked away by Mcclennan's goal stick. Comes out to the near side. Now Tkachuk on the ice with his great friend Dallas Drake, an ex-teammate in Phoenix. Eastwood gives chase far corner. Speaking of ex-Winnipeg Jets, Mike Eastwood. He'll dig there. Hit there by Willie Mitchell. Walls tried to reverse his ground, ran right into a brick wall, and Dallas Drake had it sent out towards center ice. Roos the good speed. Trying to track it down. Gusarov got there first and poked the loose back to the red line. Blues march out. Bartechko across the lines, got Riesner in front with him. Trying to center. Bombardier piece of it. Marty Riesner on the end boards. It'll stop and go. Good skater. And we have got a whistle because the net is off the mooring. Just over 6 minutes into the second period. Scott Mellanby and St. Louis trying to get something going offensively against Minnesota.
Carry a crowd in the average compact SUV? That's a laugh. But Dodge Durango is different. It gives you best-in-class seating for 8 with the available third seat. So getting all your friends in is an exercise in comfort, not comedy. Durango. Different. And just right. Now get a $2,000 cash allowance or low 0.9 financing on Durango.
Bite into the cheesy Gordita Crunch and you'll be rocked by a crunchy taco wrapped in warm flatbread with a melted 3-cheese blend and spiked with a zesty pepper jack sauce. The cheesy Gordita Crunch only at Taco Bell.
Today, we are celebrating a milestone. We showed a profit. Because of that, we are being funded an additional $20 million. One stipulation. We need to extend our infrastructure to Hong Kong, Tokyo, and Singapore, and do it in 90 days. What?
And that's when it hits you. You are so ready for IBM.
If you can't stop here, stop here for 25% off the regular price of Midas VSD brake pads and shoes. They've got a lifetime guarantee. They're quieter, they stop faster, and last longer. Go Midas.
No score, second period. ESPN's National Hockey Night presentation, the Blues and Wild. We're on Jim Schoenfeld, the entire crew. Glad to get join us from St. Paul. Another packed house. Watching a pretty good expansion product here. 62 points, better than 8 other teams in the NHL. Here comes St. Louis. Riesner trying to get in front of Bartechko. Dead off the end boards. And Sutton trying to clear it out. Sent right on. Jamie Mclennan saw through a screen, gloved it down. Leaves for Andy Sutton. Out to center. Sylvain Blouin trying to get that to Cam Stewart, but he was offside.
Well, sometimes your best just isn't good enough. And you see right there the goal support, goal scoring, 1.50 with Mclennan in the net. 2.54 with Fernandez. Listen, even 2.54 isn't a ton of goals. Manny Fernandez having a great year, a save percentage of .920. And by all other standards, McLennan's having a real good year, but tough to be a goaltender when your team gets you no goals. You just cannot afford to let one bad goal in. When you're only allowing 2 goals, they're probably good goals you're allowing, but your team cannot score enough to get you a win. So Mclennan is playing much better than you would think by looking at the win-loss column in the number of games he has played.
Absut fires into the offensive end for St. Louis. Tkachuk on the forecheck trying to follow up. Runs right into his own man and Scott Young. And you're bound to have that. A little bit of chemistry issues, timing with brand new teammates. Ivanov tracks it down far corner. Just knowing what the other player can do. You're used to facing him. They've had some good battles. St. Louis and Phoenix over the years in the Western Conference. Great series. Jimmy, remember probably all too well a couple of years back.
I do.
Sorry to bring that up, but look out. Roos got hit right in the face. As Gusarov is trying to clear that, but luckily he has got a shield, and we hope Stacy's all right.
Well, it's going right to the dressing room, yeah. So obviously it hit more than the shield. There's Gusarov trying to clear the puck. Stacy Roos in good position, right place at the wrong time. He's probably saying to himself, you know, Gusarov was on a Stanley Cup team. He's an NHL defenseman. Great player. Can he get that puck off the glass? He has to hit me in the head. He's got all that room. He'll be saying, go back and work on your skill game there, Mr. Gusarov. Get the puck around me, not through me. And what a job that man, Jacques Lemaire, has done with this team. He has them believing in every and anything he says. If he told them to wear their pants backwards and skate with their skates on different feet, I think the team would do it. They all believe in him so strongly, and it's great to see. And we were talking to him today, folks, and he was just a real happy coach, wasn't he, David? Just great to see Jacques Lemaire with that big smile on his face. Remember, he's won a lot of Stanley Cups as a player, and of course won the Stanley Cup as the head coach of the New Jersey Devils. He visited there recently. We're asking him about his memories. He says, I was so concerned about their team. They're so dominant. My mind didn't have a place for memories.
Well, we've mentioned, Jim, about the captain system here in Minnesota. Certainly very different. Guys like Sean O'Donnell, Scott Pellerin have been traded, of course. Other guys like Wes Walsh, Brad Bombardier, and now Darby Hendrickson are wearing the C in their sweater. I had a nice chat this morning with Darby Hendrickson, and you and I did with Jacques Lemaire about his idea. And again, it's just to try to generate enthusiasm and leadership with players who've never had a chance to wear the C before, like Darby Hendrickson in Toronto and his various stops in Vancouver as well.
Yeah, you're developing leadership, you're developing responsibility, and there's a thrill to have a C on your sweater when you're a National Hockey League player. Are you kidding me? I mean, they had a little ceremony. They brought the sweater out. They give it to Wes Walsh. He took his jersey off, put it on, and skated around the ice as if he'd won the Stanley Cup. So the team is buying into it. They're excited. They like Jacques Lemaire. They like his ideas. And I think that's a pretty good idea, having everybody wear that C for a while, get a taste, see what it's like. It's easy to do.
In front, great chance. Oh, Johnson, a piece of it. Dribbled just wide by inches.
Let me just finish that thought, David. It's easy to do when this is the first year of the team. It's tough to do when you have an established captain to all of a sudden say we're going to have different people wearing the C on their sweater.
Sean Hill retreats. Gusarov lost his stick. He'll have to get it off the half boards far side. Here's Eastwood at center. Great bid for Minnesota. Another good opportunity. That time Pavel Patera found the puck right on his stick in the circle and fired it right on net. Johnson left out to dry by his defense.
Well, Brent Johnson is doing his job to give the St. Louis Blues a chance to get their legs and get into this game. And this is a good save. He stacks the pads. It does not hit the pads. It hits the shoulder. I personally would like to see him just go into a butterfly there and cut the angle down to the top of the crease, but he made the save, and his goaltending coach, Keith Tkachuk, knows a lot more about the position than I do.
Sylvain Blouin will be in for the next two boarding calls during that last exchange, so Minnesota will be down a man at 8:34 second period. Power play back on the ice for St. Louis, where they're 0-for-1 so far.
Sylvain blew in and took a penalty. Sorry, folks.
You're waiting all night.
I said I wouldn't apologize anymore, but I did, yes.
Ivanov at the left point. Sends it in along the end boards. Mellanby out there, Tkachuk in front, and Pierre Turgeon up front. Scott Young is at the other point. And of course, no Pronger, no McGinnis, and no Pavel Demitra. Demitra returned last night to the St. Louis lineup against Philadelphia. Had an assist on the Bartechko tally. But we talked to him this morning. He retweaked the hamstring and is out indefinitely again. Day to day. Bill Quenneville's heard enough of that term to last a lifetime. He just kind of rolled his eyes and said, I can't believe it. Hurt again. Turgeon outside the left circle. And a man cruising in, and Young backdoor cross ice. Try to get it to him from Mellanby. It was bouncing, couldn't settle it, and Havanov tracks it down at center ice. Here's Pierre Turgeon leading the rush to Tkachuk. He couldn't find the handle at the blue line. Mclennan out of the goal crease. Throws it off the half boards near side. Tkachuk couldn't find the handle again. Sakharov tracks it down in the corner. Young helped keep it in. And it's sent into the Wild bench. Over the boards, out of play. Our next league leaders, average ice time. Unfortunately for Joe Quenneville and the Blues, Chris Pronger not available, probably for the rest of the regular season, although he told us today they had hoped to get him in 2 or 3 games, get back into the flow, because it would be so hard for Chris Pronger to come right back into the lineup in the playoffs.
Well, if that list had gone 2 more people and you had the 5th guy, that would be Al McGinnis. So a lot of ice time logged by Pronger. McGinnis. We hate to beat a dead horse to death, folks, but it is a legitimate problem for the St. Louis Blues. A lot of their defense, of course, and a lot of their offense comes from those 2 big guys in the blue line, and they are sorely missed. Norris Trophy winners, and of course last year Pronger, the MVP of the league.
Here's Heshk on the end boards for Riesner. Stillman, the newest blue for Hill, from the point, deflected. And again, it's fired right into the benches. Out of play. Let's go back to the studio and John Butchergrad. Brian Sutter this year, over. Out to the point, kept in there by Hill. 30 seconds power play time. Fired in by Todd Reardon. Mitchell trying to clear, cannot get it out of his own zone, but Cam Stewart will and send down ice.
Hard to know what the expectations of a team like Calgary are. A small market team. They end up moving a lot of the good players because they can't afford to play them. They bring a coach in, doesn't have the people to get the job done. They've had some injuries this year, and boy, not even 1 season and the guy's gone. So Don Hay has done a real good job in the minor leagues. Hopefully he'll get another crack at the Big Apple.
Here's Stillman, the ex-Flame himself, in the final moments of the power play. Blue Line is back out of the box. Even strength 5 aside, and Sylvan handles. Reardon from the point. The shot deflected wide by Darby Hendrickson's stick. And again, it's over the boards, out of play. 9:11 left in the middle frame. From St. Paul here on ESPN's National Hockey Night. Jamie Mclennan and the Wild scoreless with St. Louis.
Brill, the GM, with 5. Muriel Tremblay, assistant coach, with 4. And the other assistant coach, Mike Ramsey, of course, played on that magical team in 1980 that won the gold medal for the United States of America.
A lot of hardware between all those folks. Crazy bounce off the end boards. Drake trying to scoop it up in the near circle. Tkachuk couldn't find the handle. Simicek darts out the other way. Here's Jim Dowd from Brick, New Jersey. Wanted us to say hello to all the folks in Brick. About 20 miles south of the Meadowlands, he said.
We told him we wouldn't do it unless he scored a goal.
Simicek trying to track it down himself with the blue line. He is dumped down hard. Bombardier gets there first in his own end. Dowd. Lost there on the half boards to Tkachuk. Here's Jamal Mayers against Brad Bombardier. Another ex-New Jersey Devil along with Dowd. And they cross as Bombardier lost his stick. Here comes Tkachuk trying to make a move. Looking to stick handle around Willie Mitchell. Continuing the ex-Devil theme. Got a lot of them out there. And a touch-up made by Opsut.
8:13 to go in the second period. It's still a scoreless tie. Some good saves by Brent Johnson and some good saves by that red right behind him. Three posts, none of them are registered as a shot on goal. Jacques Lemaire saying, somebody, anybody score. No margin for error when you don't.
No wins in his last 5. Brent Johnson. Avalanche, the last victim for Johnson. February 10th, his last victory. 18-7-2, a 2-1-5 goals against coming in. And a brilliant start to the year, trying to claim the #1 job from Roman Turek. But a Vezina-type season a year ago. Leaders in all the major categories, along with the Vezina winner Olaf Kolzig of Washington, but it has not been a repeat performance for the Blues or Roman Turek. Young was set up in the circle for a near the far side one-timer, but that's just kind of the way it's gone for St. Louis. It's not right there with the timing. Just can't click. Stillman, brand new to the team, trying to find his chemistry out on the ice. And you can see they're a little out of sorts. Offensive zone walls, 2-on-1, trying to create. Good play by Reardon. Sliding to break it up. West Walls looking to regain near corner. Todd Reardon pokes that along the dasher to the far side, half boards. Out to the point, Philippe Kuba loves it down, keeps the play alive. Deflected off a stick. Comes to Patera, right at the post again, and a one-timer. Laxon, and this time rang it right off the iron. Yet another post hit by the Wild.
We'll have to add that one to our package. Minnesota Wild literally doing everything but score. Cannot get the puck past Brent Johnson. And they had a little help earlier in the shift. A good play by Todd Reardon on West Walls as West tried the little toe drag. And Reardon went down, not only blocked the shot, and that's the post being done there, but he blocked the pass out. So the Wild are still playing a strong game. Not many natural scores. And the green sweater, and another look. They get the puck away quickly. You know what Jacques Lemaire told us, if they get a goal, boy, does their confidence level ever raise. Then they're a tough team to beat.
And a sick trying to send it on. Knocked down low slot. Blues march out the other way. Still no score. Mike Eastwood leads the charge. Mellanby catching up with it. He's got Reisner set up for a one-timer. They can't find him. Then Marty tracks it down far corner. Into the low slot it goes. Broken up by Sutton. Tries to spin it out of his own zone, and it's out to the neutral zone. Wild will come out the other way. Cam Stewart dumps into the near corner. Johnson there. And a boots at it. With a goal stick. Clears out to the near corner. Not out of his own zone, though. And Sean Hill tracks it down along the inboard. Here's Reisner at center. Feeds near side Bartetchko. Long shot from the left point. Rebound. Came out into that right circle to Mellanby. He lost the clean handle, though. Deflected high in the air. Stewart got bumped off the puck. Shoulder check right at the face-off dot center ice. On the move, here comes Bartetchko. Blasting his way in along the right wing. Regained by Drake. He's got Tkachuk set up. Bouncing puck loose. For a moment, rebound. Not covered up by Mclennan. No whistle, and Drake and Bartetchko battle for it. Water bottle is loose as well there behind the net. Tkachuk trying to center and create his first game as a Blue. Best shift he's had so far. Obzut looking to send it on. Off the skate of his teammate, Dallas Drake, and it's cleared out to center ice.
Yeah, best shift he's had because his chum Dallas Drake is on the ice with him. That's chemistry, folks.
Chuck spun down, and Mitchell will try to blast out of his own zone. Havanov holds it in. Hesht out of midair helps advance that along the end boards. And the Wild ready to come out again. Obzut tracks it down into his own zone, and Jochen Hesht fires cross ice, trying to hit Young on the fly. Out there now with Pierre Turgeon as Hesht heads off on a change. So Joe Quenneville started the night with Keith Tkachuk on the top line. Turgeon and Young, a little switcheroo, pairing him with Dallas Drake, and they've generated some chances. Stillman in his own zone. Lost the handle. Walsh right between the wickets. That went 5-hole. He was set up for a one-timer. Turgeon trying to dart out the other way. It's tracked down, though, by the Wild. Here comes Roos on the move. Back from the injury. Trying to get that to Laxon, and a penalty is coming up against St. Louis. When we return, the Minnesota Wild on the power play trying to break a scoreless tie. Keith Tkachuk in his first game in St. Louis. A good bid, looking for the first goal.
Poking the puck off of Pierre Turgeon, then away he goes in the attack, and that draws the interference penalty on the back-checking Pierre Turgeon. So the Wild have an opportunity on the power play.
At 15:27, interference minor. Pierre Turgeon in for the next two. 33 power play goals. That is all Minnesota has been able to generate this year. 30th and last in the league. Trying to improve on it here. Kuba one-timer, blasted it well wide. Dowd tries to track it down on the half-board's far side. Blues looking to rip it out of their own zone and clear. Cannot. Krivokrasov holds it in. Sekarash at one point. Krivokrasov for Dowd. Sergei lost his footing. Simicek looking to regain far corner. Havanov and Hesht trying to clear. Can't get out of the zone, though. Sekarash holds it in. At the left point. Finally, Hesht will shovel it down ice.
Well, they're last in the league in offense, so it stands to reason they would be last in the league on the power play. hard-working team. They can skate with most teams in the National Hockey League, but they have not developed their young players to be consistent goal scorers as of yet, David.
There's one reason. As Walls lost the handle on the way in. Look out. 2-on-1. Short-handed. Young is there. One-timer save made by Mclennan against his ex-teammate. Dallas Drake set him up. Probably the best chance St. Louis has had all night. The whistle stops play. Let's go back to John Butchergrass.
Well, no goals for you, Dave. Buffalo has a few, though. Up 2-1 on the power play. Watch J.P. Dumont just wait, curl and fire, snap it in. 3-1 Sabres over the Rangers.
Well, a great save by Jamie Mclennan. Dallas Drake shorthanded. The feed, a nice feed right on the tape. Scott Young rifles it. And Keith Tkachuk, he's going, go Dally, go Dally. Here's our first goal, boys. Oh, so close, yet so far. And Jamie Mclennan plays the game with an economy of motion. He just moves as much as he has to get the job done. Jacques Lemaire is unhappy as you look at Dallas Drake and you see the shorthanded goals. 15 by the Blues, 11 by the Wild, and that was pretty close to the 16th shorthanded goal by the St. Louis Blues.
We do have a penalty coming up against the Wild. It'll even things up. The Dodge different. Intermission report is coming up next. SportsCenter in game. NFL news and notes in the offseason. NHL scores and highlights as well. John has been keeping us updated on that exciting game in Buffalo involving the Rangers, who started the night all of 11 points out of the final Eastern Conference playoff spot. Right now, Carolina has that. They were involved in an exciting game, too. Ottawa and Jersey in a great race for top of the East. We're even for a side blast from the point. Sent right on by Bryce Salvador. Bench minor has been called against Minnesota. We'll sort it out. We are 4-on-4. For the next 45 seconds, then a Blues power play will begin. Bombardier at center. And that play is whistled down offside the blue line. Gavey ahead of the pack.
Well, Jacques Lemaire was not very happy with the bench minor call. He had a conference with the referee over the bench. You can only imagine what was said. We're a long distance away from the lips of Jacques Lemaire.
Too many men in the ice. Jim missed the call, so Jacques certainly can't be happy with that.
Did not like the call, and we always put the camera on the coach when there are too many men in the ice, not because we're blaming him, folks, but to get his reaction. As a former coach, let me tell you, it's rarely, if ever, the fault of the coach. He has people up, he has people ready, and usually there's some miscommunication with the player coming off the ice and or the player going on to the ice, or you have someone sleeping and you make a line change, so line A is up and you go with line B, and someone is not prepared for that and they jump on the ice and you get your too many men. So Jacques Lemaire not happy with the call, Dave.
20 seconds left to the Turgeon interference minor, and that's all that's left of the 4-on-4. Then the Blues will have a power play. Just about a minute's worth, 59 seconds to be exact. They'll try to load up and get a goal in this game. Scoreless tie so far. Hesht as well. Offside, two-line pass. Take your pick with 7 seconds left in the 4-on-4.
Okay, Joel, you got to come out with Tkachuk and Drake and Turgeon up front. Scott Young on the blue line with, take your pick, David. I'll give you the fifth guy, and I think they'll score a goal. There's Tkachuk. I'm right on one of them. They got Gusarov back in the blue line. I don't see Dallas Drake. He's still 4-on-4. 7 seconds. Maybe Dallas will be taking the man out of the penalty box. We'll have to wait and see. There is Scott Young, so you could think that once his penalty's up, he might be moving back.
Young is the leader in power play goals. He's got 13 tallies with a man advantage this year. 36 goals. Chuck will take the draw at center off the two-line pass call. Final moments of the 4-on-4. Turgeon getting set to sprint out of the box. He is. Power play underway now for St. Louis, trying to break the stalemate here. 0-0 tie. Minnesota has had the better opportunities. Shooting St. Louis 14-12. They've run 3 off the post in this game. Black zone here in the second period. Here's John Fanning on the dump-in try. Broken up by Hendrickson. Short-handed. Here they come with Gavey. Harvey Hendrickson there as well. Couldn't quite get to it. Havanov tracks it down first. Young and Gavey collided right in front of goaltender Brent Johnson. Alexander Havanov. 15 seconds left in the power play. Barely time for one more rush. Blues did play last night. Physical battle at the First Union Center. A loss 5-2 to the Flyers. They appear a bit flat. That could be one reason. Mitchell chasing it down. And that'll do it for the power play. Back to full strength by the side. Gusarov right out of the box fell down on his way up. Jacques Lemaire told us today the ice perhaps some of the best in the NHL. South of the border, Edmonton and that Coliseum long known for the best ice in the NHL. He said Pittsburgh too. But a recent high school tournament was held here in which the logos were changed. And that may have softened things up a bit when they relayed the ice again. To the point, glove down. Held in there by Benesic. Blues trying to clear it out, and they will send down ice. Sutton couldn't hold it in. Less than a minute left in the middle frame from St. Paul. Benesic lets that go through, and Gusarov regains in his own end. Knocked down by Mclennan. That's center ice. Big Andy Sutton dumps it in, cross ice. He'll head off on a change as well. Tkachuk dumps it in. He'll try to follow up. Not much of a forecheck established here by St. Louis in the final moments of the second period. Here's down at center. A little room to maneuver. In the offensive zone. Centering, trying a one-timer. Simicek denied by Johnson. Down regains, trying to bank in and off the pad of Brent Johnson, but it's cleared away by the Blues in the final moments of the second period. Philippe Kuba fires it off the half boards, far side. I'll lob it all the way down ice, and that will do it for the first 40 from St. Paul. Still no score. Our Old Spice red zone storyline as such so far. St. Louis being outshot. 4 posts though for the Wild. Quick game so far, Jim.
Not many goals, David, but some good hits. Oh, so man blew in with a big hit there on Ivanov.
Time now for the Dodge Different Intermission Report. Sports Center in game. That means we're going back to the studio. That means it's time for Mr. John Butchergross.
And we're going into the third period with 2 big donuts on the scoreboard.
7 goals, 23 points, his last 16, all as a member of the Phoenix Coyotes. He's certainly very excited with the prospects of the trade when he heard it was pretty much a done deal before the deadline yesterday. 3 o'clock Eastern time, and Cory Stillman also becoming a St. Louis Blue from Calgary. Can they turn it around? A long winless streak, 7 games, longest it's been in a couple years in St. Louis. Talked about their dominance over the last couple of regular seasons. Last year's President's Trophy winning team. Looking to return to form with a couple of newcomers. Bouncing puck, trouble on the near side. Brent Johnson doing the splits, trying to regain his balance and get back to his goal crease. Half boards. Sekarash holds it in. Good hard hit there as Hill got nailed by Laxon and comes right to Roos. Penalty is coming up. Delay penalty call will be against St. Louis. And a power play for Minnesota just 52 ticks into the third period.
When you're being outworked in the defensive zone, 2 things can happen. Scoring chance, which could result in a goal, or you take a penalty. And the Blues have been guilty, not giving the effort, or maybe they don't have the energy. They did get spanked last night in Philadelphia. So they're taking a lot of penalties in the D zone. And the tripping, holding, hooking penalties we term as lazy penalties. You want to eliminate all lazy and or undisciplined penalties. They're the ones that'll kill you.
Joe Quenneville told us before the game tonight he thought maybe last night in Philly 15 minutes of good effort total. He was not at all happy with the way his team played. He said in the winless streak they've had 2 bad outings, and that was one of them. Really laid an egg against the Flyers at the First Union Center. They played better tonight all around and gotten a little bit of luck as well as the Wild has hit the post 4 times in this game. Minnesota now on the power play. The worst power play unit in the National Hockey League. 0 for 2 tonight, contributing to the number.
And yet, they have scored a power play goal in each of their last 3 games. So maybe they will get one tonight to keep that streak alive.
Bombardier starts the rush up ice. Here's Hendrickson. In the offensive zone, it'll stop and go. Salvador watches him, comes back to Bombardier, trying to throw it on net. Broke up first by Hesht, and he will clear.
Well, Brad Bombardier just couldn't handle the pass cleanly, and that's the difference between a highly skilled blue liner and one that's becoming a highly skilled blue liner. It's not only shooting the puck, you have to catch it clean, make sure it's flat, and then get your body and your stick into it.
Quickly into the offensive zone. Wild. And Jim Dowd. Circle just outside the left faceoff circle. Down low, Krasov at the goal line. Cross-ice play, bouncing Simicek. Couldn't quite get to it. And again, the Blues clear down ice. So Jamie Mclennan, third of the fourth regular season outings. Mclennan has been between the pipes for his team against his ex-mates in St. Louis. He's lost a couple so far. Good stick handling. Kuba, a little offensive defenseman at work. Hill, as Kuba got knocked down, fans want another penalty call, won't get it. Around the dasher to the half-board's far side. Dowd holds it in, trying to send it on net. Krasov tracks it down. He and Simicek out there, on with Jim Dowd, who set up for a one-timer. They can't quite find him. Inside the right circle. Cross-ice play on the move. Simicek down low. Krasov. Sekerash is cruising in as well from his left point spot. Power play continues. Blues trying to clear it. Hill gets there. Finds the handle. Banks it off the near half boards. Not out, though. Kept in by Minnesota. Finally shoveled free by Jochen Hecht. And that'll do it for the power play. Quickly evaporates. And Turgeon sprung for the box. We are even strength. Walls trying to stick handle far side. Tracked down first by Keith Tkachuk. One good bit in this game for Tkachuk. 7 in the white sweater. That came in the middle period. Here's Mellanby behind the net. Trying to tee up Reisner. Bouncing puck near circle. Couldn't quite find it. And now Roost at center ice. Stick held up by Marty Reisner. Line change for Minnesota and Jacques Lemaire. Physical play, Reisner and Hendrickson. Havanov blasting it around the boards and out to center. Tracked down there by Sutton. 3.5 in, third period. Still no score. Laxonen. Gaborik. Offensive end off the stick of Havanov, and that is over the boards, out of play. Sunday on ESPN National Hockey Night brings you another installment of NHL Rules. Detroit and San Jose, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, with the captain Stevie Y head-to-head with Owen Nolan and the Sharks. NHL Rules telecast help long-time or first-time hockey fans understand the intricacies of the coolest game on earth, Wings and Sharks. Full national telecast, NHL Rules. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
Well, Marian Gaborik gets stung right there. That certainly could have been a penalty for Bryce Salvador, hitting from behind. Dangerous as the head goes in and the neck snaps back. But Gaborik is all right, raring to go.
XL Energy Center, St. Paul, Minnesota. He's the side of our National Hockey Night broadcast. Dave Ryan, Jim Schoenfeld, the entire National Hockey Night crew. Glad to get join us. Scoreless tie so far. Blues trying to end a long thump. 7-game winless streak. And get themselves right back toward the Central Division lead. They start tonight 4 points behind the Red Wings for one of the top 3 playoff spots in the Western Conference. Much coveted in terms of seedings when you come to so many tough teams in the West. We just know a favorite is going to go down in the first round. As we saw last year, San Jose upending the President's Trophy winning St. Louis Blues in 7 in the first round. Too many good teams. Very interesting. Patera across the line, dumps it in off the mesh, the back of the net, and play is frozen.
You know, when you think of it, David, it doesn't matter in that Western Conference if you finish 1st or 8th. Your first round is going to be a tough draw. And Minnesota Wild will not be in the playoffs. This is their inaugural season. 62 points, .420 winning percentage, and right now that's 10th best all time for an expansion team, and they can improve on that. Still some season left to go. So once again, kudos to Jacques Lemaire and Mario Tremblay, his assistant coach, and Michael Ramsey. A homecoming for Mike Ramsey from Minnesota. Fine years in Buffalo, won Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh and finished with Detroit, and loves teaching, loves practicing. You saw him and Tremblay on the ice today. They were involved physically in almost every drill they were putting the guys through, having more fun than the players out there.
Laxonen at center, bursts of speed, gains the offensive zone, heading in right wing, trying to set it there for Walls. Couldn't find it. At the last moment, Hill got a piece of it on the way through along with Gusarov. Slid through there by Roost. Kept in Kuba at the right point. Philip Kuba, bouncing puck out. Johnson found the hand handle the airborne disc. Big play by the St. Louis netminder, keeping this a scoreless tie.
Well, Matt Johnson has been helped by the goalpost a few times in tonight's game, but late in the second period and early in the third, he has made some terrific saves for the St. Louis Blues. And this is one right here. You see the deflection right there off the rear end of Gusarov. Johnson playing the initial shot, trying to find it, and very good reaction. Not only does he make the save, but he hangs on and controls the rebound, and you saw that from the Southwest Airlines goal cam, folks.
Nancy Laxoner has had a couple of good bids in this game. Rang one off the post in the second period. There are the face-off numbers. Lose the advantage there. Shots on net. Minnesota still the edge. Blues try to march out. Obsuit lost the stick handling. Try at center ice. A little volley back and forth comes to Mike Eastwood. Here's Drake. He couldn't find the handle as well. And near wing boards, and Willie Mitchell regains. More than 5 minutes in, third period. Roman Simicek on the forecheck, falls up. Penalty coming up there. Interference call. Simicek tried to go for the puck along the end boards. And it appears he was interfered with. That will once again put the Wild on the power play. Obsuit going to the bin for 2.
Well, we talked about those lazy, undisciplined penalties in the D zone, and there's Obsuit just a little overzealous with the pick he's trying to run for his defensive partner. An unnecessary penalty. You're better to spin off, let the forward chase the D that's going to get the puck. He can reverse it to you. You spin back short side, make a pass. You have that forward caught, and you have an easy breakout. You cannot run that moving pick in the offensive zone, deterring a forechecker from getting to his destination.
4th ever NHL game for Yaroslav Obsuit. So I guess that would be part of the excuse there. However, bottom line, lazy penalty.
All the
that
growing
hurts
and
his
learning
team.
experience. Yep.
Wild power play so far. We talked about it being 30th and last in the NHL. Are in blanks to this point. Hendrickson will take the draw. Sekarash works far side for Kuba. Eastwood breaks it up and then forces through the neutral zone. Hest versus speed, shorthanded into the offensive zone himself. Sekarash draped all over him. Trying to even things up and draw a penalty right back. See the PK the last 6 games. Been very effective for St. Louis. That's not been the problem. Sekarash lugs it all the way through the neutral zone into the offensive end. Poke loose there by Drake. Not out of the zone, though. Hendrickson just outside the right circle. Gaborik will advance for Gavey. Out there, Darby Hendrickson as well. We're in the C now as this month's captain in Minnesota. Gaborik outside the circle. Charges through. Hendrickson will give and go. Darby can't spin and fire. Blues collapse around their net. Just about halfway through the power play. Young some contact with Gavey. Gaborik lost the handle off the end boards, then regains. Hendrickson, little give and go. Marian Gaborik, team's leading scorer, 17 goals, one-timer. Kuba, big blast on the goal stick though of Johnson, who makes the easy save, and Philippe Kuba shattered his stick in the process. Oh, right on there, big shot. Whistle by Gaborik, but he missed the net. Hendrickson along the dasher, half boards far side, regains himself. Gaborik has Gavey set up, instead out for Bombardier. Easy save from Johnson. Kicks out to the point. Not a lot of mustard on any of the shots we've seen so far, or they've missed the net. Hendrickson banks off the far boards. Bombardier shot right into the chest of Brent Johnson. He was not screened. Big netminder takes up a lot of space and forces the D-zone draw.
Great puck control, great puck movement by the Minnesota Wild. And the Blues penalty killers were completely out of gas. So that was a great save by Johnson. He comes out and challenges, and he catches the puck, making sure he froze it to get some fresh troops on the ice. And there could be people saying, what do the Wild have to do to score goals? Well, I'll tell you in one word, folks, personnel. This is a young team. They're growing. They traded away some of their more experienced veterans. Pellerin, their leading scorer, was traded back to Carolina. It takes a while to develop. We know that Gaborik is going to be a great goal scorer in the National Hockey League. He's not there yet. So they have a lot of the elements you need, but they don't have that polish and finish yet. Whether they can develop with these guys or whether in time, 2-3 years, when they're making a run for the playoffs, they add someone to the roster that can get the job done remains to be seen.
Darren Eastwood take the draw. Willie Mitchell unable to keep it in. Final moments of the power play. Yaroslav Obsut, interference minor here in the third period. While about to be 0 for 4 the power play try. Dowd has other ideas. He'll circle the cage. Trying to center. Can't find any help. Dowd stays in the offensive zone. Back to even strength. 5 aside. Got to shovel it down low for Simicek. We are back to full strength. And just like that, a penalty. Simicek is going to go for the next 2. As Hill was knocked down. Mitchell trying to take someone with him. Power play for St. Louis when we return to St. Paul. Statistic for Jacques Lemaire and the Minnesota Wild. Good start to their games, but the third period kind of melt away a bit, which is a telltale sign of a lot of expansion teams. However, for St. Louis, plus 29 goal differential, third period. That is best of the NHL for Joel Quenneville's team. They need something offensively. He was pretty much desperate this morning for some offensive output. We saw Keith Tkachuk say hi to Joel Quenneville for the first time when the Blues arrived. Tkachuk came early to get his brand new equipment all broken in. Had his stick sawed and taped up. And I think Joel had a little tear of joy to see number 7 around. They've had such trouble scoring. Power play. They'll try to get something going here. Turgeon trying to stick handle. Here's Tkachuk in the low slot. Couldn't find the handle. Last moment. Poked away. Turgeon, team's leading scorer before the trade. Kuba shovels it out, bouncing puck, and Havanov could not find the handle himself. Scott Young at one point. Alexander Havanov, 29 in white, on the other. Young bumped off the puck. And it's cleared down ice by the Wild again.
You can see a good team struggling when they all start to do it individually, and that's the St. Louis Blues right now. Instead of using the extra man, passing the puck, give and go, finding some open ice, they're all trying to beat the Wild individually. Can't get it done. Power play, you have the extra guy, use them. Move the puck, let it work for you. Create 2-on-1s, and then that one on the goaltender for the good scoring chance. Do not try to do it all by yourself.
Henderson to Dowd, try to get a shorthanded bid in order. Instead, Stillman and Riesner bring to the offensive zone for the Blues. Riesner behind that for Hett. Then he heads right for the goal. Out to the point. Hill, a one-time drive. Tipped wide. Stillman regains along the goal line. And out comes Cam Stewart. Shorthanded in the Wild will clear down ice. Stewart, more than just clear. He'll follow it up along with Hill. Contact near corner. And Riesner. Rochester, New York will start the march up ice. 25 seconds and counting. Stillman far side, the newest Blue, cross ice, trying to hit. Riesner set up in the near circle for a one-timer. Never got there, though. Poked loose by the Wild all the way down, and the power play very quickly about to expire. Todd Reardon. 6-6 of them. Lunging. Goes long strides through the neutral zone. Here's Eastwood. Simicek about to be sprung for the box. Power play is officially now over. Back to even strength. Lay offside being called against St. Louis. 10-13 in the final period. Let's go back to the studio on John Butchergrass.
Thank you, Dave. 1-800-COLLECT. Great save of the night took place in Buffalo. Rangers and Sabres. Peter Nedved thinks he has a breakaway goal. Dominic Hasek says you'll get nothing in like it. Sabres on their way to victory, 4-1 so far.
All right, John, thanks. Here in Minnesota, Philippe Kuba is being attended to, and that win for the Buffalo Sabres. They've been hot lately, gives them 80 points now. It ties them with Pittsburgh, each with 36 wins in that 5-6 slot in the Eastern Conference race. Going to be interesting to see how the teams head to the stretch run. A lot of clubs catching fire. Devils, Penguins getting more offense from Mario tonight.
If the Sabres are heating up, that means the Dominator's heating up. That could be a tough first-round draw for anybody in the East.
Wild trying to march up. Sutton joining the rush along with Hendrickson and Gavey. Would have missed the net wide to the right. Glove down by Johnson, and a whistle stops play. That is Bryce Salvador. He is hurt. We'll find out his status when we return to St. Paul, Minnesota.
Ooh, and a little shot to the chops of Salvador.
Just what Joe Quenneville needs, right, Jim? Man.
Another defenseman bites the dust. Wasn't there a song? Bites the dust? Oh, no, sorry.
Dimitri did not skate today. Tyson Nash did, as did McGinnis and Pronger in the morning skate. As you mentioned, Chris Pronger hopes to play the last couple games of the regular season. Al McGinnis still a question mark, even for the postseason, with the eye injury. He's wearing a tinted shield during practice because of that corneal abrasion he suffered earlier in the year. And that helps reduce some of the light coming in. Shots on goal so far. Not much for St. Louis at all offensively in this third frame. Bombardier trying to carry through the neutral zone. Rick looking to get a piece of him on the way through. Hashed full head of steam, but lost their handle at center. Marian Gaborik, spectacular rookie from Minnesota, will head off ice. Jacques Lemaire telling us today how impressed he is with the youngster, really learning well at 19 years old. Bouncing puck, Luan trying to get to it. In a low slot. Unable to find a clean handle, and Young trying to spring Turgeon. Now out there was Stillman, so Joe Quenneville really experimenting with his new players like Cory Stillman and Keith Tkachuk. Saturday, the NHL on ABC back with top teams and exciting regional action. You could see the Avs and Red Wings, the great Western Conference rivalry. Maybe the struggling Rangers against the Flyers, who are playing great hockey. Or the Sharks and Kings as LA battles for that final playoff spot in the Western Conference. 3 o'clock Eastern Time, noon in the West. There are the Western Conference standings as we speak. LA on the outside looking in right now. Just 31 wins and 73.5 behind the Coyotes, who are in action tonight. Mogilny has scored early in that game for Jersey in the Desert. 34th tally of the year for Alexander.
Wasn't that long ago that LA was a long way out of the playoff hunt. Now they're right back close to the thick of things. They have to put together a winning streak and hope that either the Yotes or the Edmonton Oilers falter a little bit. And the Oilers are the hottest team in the NHL right now.
You saw Kula being attended to recently. He's back on the ice. Good news for Jacques Lemaire and Minnesota. The near corner, Laxonen gives chase. Trying to center. Broken up there by Alexei Gusarov. Glove down. Offensive zone. Centering try goes right through as Roosh try to find some help. Instead, Stillman trying to spring Turgeon at center. Not a lot of jump offensively for St. Louis. That was reflected in the shot statistic we just showed you a moment ago. 18-12 the count as we speak. Sent right on by the Wild. Line change. Glove down by Johnson. Mellanby trying to get to it. A lot of contact near side. Cam Stewart has had a good game. Had a couple of very fiery shifts, and he's been throwing his weight around. Luan sprayed a little snow on Brent Johnson's catching glove. Stops play, 7.5 left. And a little bit of rough stuff after the whistle.
Well, Cam Stewart is not a big guy, one of the shorter players on the ice, but he threw a big wallop on Todd Reardon. Fiery forecheck, and there's Reardon getting rid of the puck. Boom, there comes the check, and down goes Todd. And he's all right, and he's looking up to the big screen and saying, I wonder if that hits on so I can see it. We've seen it twice. That should be enough for you, Cam. Take my word for it. It was a whale of a hit.
Not easy to send down. Big Todd Reardon, 6'5", about 225 or so. Cam Stewart, 5'11", 195. Former star at the University of Michigan, and still spends a lot of time up in Ann Arbor near the campus in the offseason. Opposite battle. A lot of contact behind the net. As Stewart went down, Havanov one-timer, it's sent wide by Luan. Bouncing puck, Luan, a whack at it. Same goes for Pavel Patera. And a hand pass going to be called. 7:08 to go in the third period. This line creating some offensive excitement for the fans here at the XL Energy Center.
Taking the lead off of Cam Stewart. That big body check followed up by an aggressive shift. And remember, it was Cam Stewart that scored the third in-game tying goal the last time these two teams met. 3-3 tie. The Wild coming back to tie it. And you see right there, Minnesota then and now, 67-68. The height, the weight, number of Canadian players. And you look right now, a lot bigger, but still one of the smaller teams in the National Hockey League.
The lightest overall team in the NHL.
That's called evolution, I guess, right?
Neutral zone draw. Here's Tkachuk trying to shovel it up ice. Turgeon and Young out with him. Scott Young has not been a threat tonight at all. With 36 goals, leading the team in goal scoring, even with the addition of Keith Tkachuk. He's got 29 tallies as a Coyote. First game in a St. Louis uniform, and here he is. into the offensive zone. Pressed against the half boards. Far side there by Kuba. In the near corner battle for it. Walls will shovel off the end boards, and Kuba out to center. Laxon on the move. Played there by Johnson. He sent it right up ice for Young. Play stays onside. Cross ice dump in. Bombardier tracks it down first ahead of Hesht. And his forecheck. Roost up ice at the red line. Rolling down to 6 left in the third period. Still no score. Tkachuk trying to change all that. Bombardier got there first, though. And again, it's sent out for Gusarov. Paired with Hill on the blue line. So, Jim, we're about 3 weeks out from the playoffs. Assuming Pronger's back and McGinnis is not. And that could happen. Is St. Louis a dangerous enough team with Turek and net to do some damage?
I really think that the Avs are the big team coming out of the West. I'd be very surprised, barring injuries, of course, if it isn't the Avs and the Devs. And I know I'm going out on a limb this early, but to me, they are the two strongest looking teams right now. They have great depth. They have goaltending, defense, power play, penalty killing, the whole ball of wax, and both teams are expecting to win. And sometimes the expectation is what challenges teams to do well.
Play is frozen. Half boards near side. Simicek and Mayers will exchange a little ugliness when we come back to St. Paul, Minnesota.
But tonight, the Wild defender's doing a real good job against Pierre. Pierre tries to outthink his opponent. He's an elusive player. You don't see him, and all of a sudden he's there, and he makes that explosive play, the good pass or the quick shot. Well, tonight, every time he's crossed the blue line, there's been a Wild either back checker stay with him or the back checker lets him go to the D, and they've stayed right with Pierre Turgeon. He's had absolutely no room to work with the puck, and for most of the game, they have denied him even getting possession of the puck.
18,064 fans have watched that denial. Pierre Turgeon's offensive skills, 37 straight sellout. Brand new XL Energy Center, downtown St. Paul. Beautiful building. Boy, they hit the jackpot here, at least for the first year. Patera handling giveaway in his own zone in front. Couldn't quite get it to Bartechko. Tried to run Mclennan right through the boards. Patera will stick handling against Salvador. Is back in the game after the high stick he got earlier. Sutton from the point thought about a shot. Reardon went down to block it. Trying to center. Regain there. Sent out to get a Sutton, deflected just wide. Cam Stewart, who's had a great game, been all over the ice. Very feisty effort for him. Bidding for some offense as well. Kind of the way the losing streak or winless is gone for St. Louis. It'll break here and there, and has not been able to turn the corner and get back in the W column. Who's catching up with it? Tries a golf swing at the blue line. Came up empty. Lex back out for Laxon, and he'll send it in again along to Asher. Johnson let it go through. Lob down ice by Salvador. Bombardier. Touch up. Icing is the call. 4:10 to go in this third period. Time to check in with the Visa storyline. Tkachuk, couple shots. A lot of ice time in his first game as a Blue. 71 points in the year. Nothing doing tonight, though. Ben Johnson and Mclennan both have been solid in net, Jim.
Well, the Visa replay will be some pretty good saves right there by Matt Johnson. A couple of posts have been hit tonight, but he has made some good saves, and we would show you some Jamie Mclennan saves, but there just haven't been enough St. Louis Blue shots. Only 12 to this point in the game on the Wild goaltender, Jamie Mclennan. But both goaltenders, when called upon, have made some good saves tonight.
Just to straighten it out, it is Brent Johnson.
What did I say?
You said Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, as
well,
in the
thank
Wild
you.
players hurt.
I appreciate
Number 12.
that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Johnsons, and hey, McLennan switching teams. Complicated.
It's been a tough night for me tonight, partner.
You get your playoff game face off.
I
Yeah,
guess,
right? You got a couple weeks to go
guess.
here. Will Johnson or Turek be number one? I had a long chat with Roman Turek this morning after their skate. He stayed on extra long, of course, because he wasn't starting. And he's got confidence the team once again can do what it needs to be productive in the playoffs. However, big emphasis. Need a 44 or number 2 in front of him defensively. At least one of the two. In front, bouncing puck down, couldn't find the handle.
More importantly, could Matt Johnson have made the saves tonight that Brent Johnson has made?
Very doubtful. I'll give you that. Eastwood along the end boards. Tkachuk out there as well. You know, big number 7 in white is going right in front of the net. There he is, trying the one-timer. Bouncing puck, couldn't get the stick to the ice. And a good job again for the Wild offensively on Keith Tkachuk. Drake trying to nail down and get a clean hit to him. Ivanov offensive zone, little stop and go. Mitchell watching him closely. Tkachuk sends behind the goal and then heads right in front. And that's where he's made his living. Couple 50-goal years. Parked right in front of the goal crease. Causing misery for opposing netminders. Not this time, though. Rolling down to 3 to go in regulation. Gaborik, quick shot, pad save. Gave me the rebound, sends it wide. One of the best opportunities Minnesota has had. Track down Gaborik. Far corner. Send for Hendrickson. They cycle there for Gavey. Center, Troy Gaborik, a one-timer. Didn't get good work to it off the heel of the stick. And Hesht at center, going around the check there of Kuba. Avoids the contact. And a line change as Turgeon heads off ice. Couple of good opportunities. Marian Gaborik, the 19-year-old rookie. Hill from center. Loved down easily by Mclennan. Tracked down, though, by Stillman. Good play, Cory Stillman. One time a Gusarov tip wide. Dribbles softly along the inboards. Wide to the right. Regained. Stillman offensive zone. Sharp angle play off the side of the net. And finally, play is stopped. As Bartechko try to get something going here. 2:20 to go in the third. Joins Stuart Scott and Brian Kenny. Thank you for all the day's sports news and highlights. Sports Center is coming up. Follow the game here on ESPN. You just know Dickie V is involved in the NCAA tournament breakdown just around the corner. Question of the night, the best buzzer beater. Plus American League preview, a ray of hope. We'll find out as spring training hits full tilt.
Once again, it's Brent Johnson doing the job for the St. Louis Blues. And this is Gaborik. Boom, a quick little snapper. Johnson follows the puck off of Gavey's stick onto the stick of Gaborik and makes another save. Good work, Brent. Good work, Brent. And the shots this period, donut for the Blues and 5 for the Wild.
Boy, you talk about the lack of production from Mclennan in that. How about for Johnson? Nothing doing. Bombardier along the inboards. Riesner got in the way, trying to get that first shot on net third period. He won't. Simicek leads the charge. Krivokrasov. Run down by Riesner. Off a skate in the high slot. Simicek couldn't find the handle. Here's Mayers. A little bit of room to maneuver. Big shot from the right wing. Glove down by Mclennan. He will take no chance and force a D-zone draw. A little bit of the rough stuff after the whistle.
Well, Jamal Mayer is just trying to get a little emotion for his team. He took the shot, he drove to the net, the whistle had gone, but he continued to drive knowing that there'd be somebody that would take exception to it. And he's trying to light a fire under his St. Louis Blue teammates. They have been very flat this third period. And there's Jamal with the shot, the save, the whistle, and he just keeps coming in, the little push on Mitchell. And everyone's going to take exception to that. And you've got 3 green shirts and 1 blue shirt, so there's some emotion for Mayers, but not for the rest of the Blues.
Xcel Energy Center, downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, side of our ESPN National Hockey Night telecast. Dave Ryan, Jim Schoenfeld, the entire National Hockey Night crew. Glad you join us tonight. Big game for St. Louis, trying to break the 7-game winless streak. It's been a while since they've won. Longest winless streak in some 4 years. Salvador left point, shot was knocked down. Tkachuk back for Salvador. Bouncing puck deflected wide. Young was there. Turgeon set up as well. Anything. They'll take a lucky goal off the body. Doesn't matter. Walls tracks it down instead. Laxton at center. Spins on the near side. Stacy Roost outside the left circle. Will stop and go. Throws it toward the net. But it comes through the crease. In front, Laxton hoping for a tip. Regained there by Roost. Hit hard by Havana. Stacy Roost had his bell rung a bit. Near side half boards. Roost trying to dig it free of trouble. Havana off over him, trying to muscle his way toward the net. Roost still has it. Good puck possession. Trying to center. Bouncing puck. Walls couldn't find the handle. The stick was tied up by Salvador. In the final 60 seconds of regulation, and sent all the way down ice. Trickles wide of the net, and touch up from Kuba means icing.
Can you take 5 more minutes of this excitement, partner? We got 51.8 seconds left. If there's no goal scored, we're going into overtime. That means extra cash for both of us. So hang in there, goaltenders. Do the job. We could use the coin. Keith Tkachuk moving down the bench. The game is not totally gone the way he would have hoped tonight. I think he's forced it a little bit. Everybody knows he's going to go to the front of the net, but he hasn't mixed it up at all tonight. When he's at the top of his game, he's in the high slot, then he's in the net, he's around the back of the net, he comes out, and you see all of Keith's numbers. Terrific career so far, and I think it's going to get even better as a St. Louis Blue. And certainly my best wishes to Keith and his wife Chantel and their 2 scrapping little guys. Hope they find a nice home in St. Louis. They did a great job as a Phoenix Coyote, and there'll be a lot of fans that miss him.
Listen to the crowd here, Jim. Little noise in the late going of regulation. Fans want something to cheer about. Another packed house. We told you about the sellout numbers. Keith Tkachuk, the only captain Phoenix ever had since the move south from Winnipeg. No longer. Here's Gaby near corner. They'll try to march out just over 30 left in regulation. Open a spring Gaborik at center. That will be icing. Touched up by Alexei Gusarov.
There's a look at young Marian Gaborik. Had himself a pretty good game tonight. Some good scoring chances. He's rung it off the pipe a couple of times. You can see he's an elusive player. Very tough to track down. He's a heady player, so even though he is slight, he's not going to get spanked a lot because he's well aware of the defender coming to hit him. You see right now his 34 points, his best on his team. An exciting career ahead of that young man. Can't wait to watch it.
Leads NHL rookies in shots, heading in with 157. Face-off numbers to this point. Chuck will take the draw. Deep in the Minnesota zone. 28.6 in regulation. Tkachuk wins it. Ivanov from the point. Shot blocked by Hendrickson. Regain Alexander. Ivanov! Tip just wide. Tkachuk was down low. In the low slot where he's made his living. One-timer from Mellanby. Couldn't find the handle. Held in by Ivanov. Hash to battle. Crisscross with Keith Tkachuk. Gusarov, little stick hand. Who's desperately in need of a couple points. Stick hand. Who's desperately in need of a couple points here to get back on track. An inch closer to Detroit for one of the top 3 playoff spots in the Western Conference as a division champion. Tkachuk. And that play will be offside at the blue line.
Well, even though he hasn't scored a goal tonight, if you're a St. Louis Blue fan, you have to like what you have seen. He's been involved in front of the net. He has been an offensive concern almost every time he has been on the ice. And a player like Keith Tkachuk, if he's relentless in his pursuit, sooner or later, he will get the puck on the tape and it'll go from the tape to the back of the net. So a good addition once again to the St. Louis Blues. Whether he scores in the game tonight or not, I think it's been a pretty darn good game when you consider the emotional ramifications of being traded, flying in here just today for the game. He'll get back now. He'll get to St. Louis. He'll get settled in. And what a season he will have the remaining few games of this season on into the playoffs and hopefully a long stint with the St. Louis Blues.
Hendrickson at center. He'll zip through the neutral zone into the offensive end. Overtime underway. Gusarov gets there first. Here's Scott Young. Gusarov. Alexander Ivanov. The 2 defensemen, the 4-on-4. Turgeon and Young. Operate for St. Louis. Pair lost the handle, though. Crossing the blue line. Kicked out. Laxinen. Little give-and-go play. Fancy passing. And Minnesota in the offensive zone along with Wes Walz.
West kind of waltz right in there.
Here's Walz for Laxinen. Lost his footing. Crossing the blue line. Almost like he tripped over it. I got that part. That was funny. I just didn't want to take my eyes off the action to comment. Salvador near corner. Trying to blast it out of his own zone. 4-on-4 continues. Riesner hacks that down ice. Mitchell gets there. Gaborik, team's leading scorer. Cross-ice play. Try to get it to Dowd. Lost the handle. Gaborik regains. Far circle. Charging toward the net. Stopped by Brent Johnson. Makes another big save on Marian Gaborik. Sunday on ESPN National Hockey Night brings you another installment of NHL Rules. 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 here in the Central Time Zone, 5 in the West. Watch Stevie Y, Steve Eisman, the Wings captain, head-to-head with Owen Nolan and the San Jose Sharks. Full national telecast. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Red Wings and Sharks NHL Rules, Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Well, Brent Johnson has looked extremely strong in the goal tonight for the Blues, not only making the save, but following the rebound and freezing the puck on a number of occasions. And that's as important sometimes in the National Hockey League as making that initial save. Most goalies in this league are going to stop the first one. You have to either clear that rebound out of harm's way or freeze it. And Johnson has done a real good job of hanging on to the puck tonight.
Roost and Krivik-Krasov up front, 4-on-4. Krivik-Krasov up the one draw from Stacey Roost, banked off the boards. Mayers with a good speed. First into the offensive zone, and tries the backhander on the short side. Quick release from Jamal Mayers. Stopped by his ex-teammate in the St. Louis Blues when they were together, Jamie Mclennan.
And a real good save by Mclennan. We had mentioned earlier that he does not waste any motion in the net. He just stood his ground there, the quick backhander. And Jamie Mclennan has not been very busy in the third period on into the overtime, and that's a difficult save. And you'll see it right here from the goal cam. Again, the goaltender making the save, Mclennan, and freezing the puck.
Good burst on the left wing, Jamal Mayers. Here in the 4-on-4 overtime. 3:10 to go in the extra session. And Keith Tkachuk will again take the draw with Darby Hendrickson the way we started this OT. Out to the point, Havana. Shot tipped wide. It was Tkachuk in the low slot. He loves to just set up camp there and deflect the puck on net. He's done so many times in his great career to this point. Kuba for Hendrickson up ice. And here comes the Wild bolting into the offensive zone. Mayers with the good wheels gets there first. Obsut getting some time here in the OT. Double team by Gavey. Sekerash. Play is onside. West Walls. Fans thought he might have taken a high stick from Young. And we get no call in the OT. And sent down ice again by the Blues. Laxinen beats Tkachuk. In the offensive zone of the puck. Trying to go cross ice with it, but it's out of the zone. Not the reset. Hill sends there for Gusarov. Rolling down to 2 minutes left OT. Young trying to tip that ahead, but no one home. Tracked down by Bombardier. Well, thrown to the offensive zone for Minnesota. Gaborik the follow-up. Marian Gaborik outside the circle. Trying to create something here in the final moments. Bombardier at the left point. 4-on-4 continues. Tip just wide. It was Jim Dowd. Down low, trying to get a deflection to win this game. And center, Young scores! Scott Young has won this game in overtime. 37th goal of the year.
Well, he is having a career year, David, and that was just a quick release from just inside the blue line, eluded Jamie Mclennan. And Jamie Mclennan very upset with himself. He'd like to have that one back. I don't think he was expecting the shot. He was back deep in the net. Young came over and just snapped it, and he does have a good shot. You see Young right there. Defenseman moves out of the way, and it just beats Jamie Mclennan off the blocker and into the top part of the net. And the St. Louis Blues get 2 very important points in their race for the Central Division lead.
6-game winner of the year, 37th of the season. The team's leader, Scott Young. 600th career point. A milestone comes in a game winner in Keith Tkachuk's debut as a St. Louis Blue. That was a big tally for St. Louis. So our final score is 1-0. Blues take it in OT just outside the blue line. ESPN2's National Hockey Night. More action coming your way tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, as the Flames of Detroit will go head-to-head. Sports Center is coming up next. For the entire crew and Jim Schoenfeld's Dave Ryan saying so long from Minnesota. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.